This changes everything as the Sacramento Kings were the center of all the trade discourse, discussions, everything that was going on around the NBA over the past couple weeks since De'Aaron Fox went out there on the market. But last night, that completely changed with Luka Donic getting sent to the LA Lakers, and now Monte McNair has to completely reassess his plan going into this year's trade deadline. Of course, as we discussed on last night's episode, this deal is imminent with De'Aaron Fox. It needs to happen. The cat's out the bag. The team is demoralized now at this front, but in terms of the landscape, in terms of the teams, in terms of who's going to be out there vying for a position out there in the NBA, things have completely change. So we're going to discuss what happened last night, give the reactions to this insane Luka AD trade out there for the Lakers of all teams, absolutely ridiculous, and then basically break down how this impacts Sacramento, because De'Aaron Fox is once again the biggest name on the trade block, so we'll break all of that down. But folks, if you want to stay up to date with everything going on with the Sacramento Kings team, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Over 83% of our viewers haven't hit it just yet, and we want to make sure you stay up to date with everything that's going on regarding this Kings team. But there was an absolute bomb dropped last night that sent shockwaves all across the NBA. If you haven't been watching, you haven't been keeping up to date and everything that's going on, Shams revealed that the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Donic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first. Three-team deal includes the Utah Jazz, Jalen Hood-Schifino. 2 seconds end up going to Utah. Now, the first thing that crossed my mind is, okay, the Kings are now not the only team to ever, fumble Luka Donic. So that's a positive in its own right. That's a positive there. The Kings fans can rejoice. Like, okay, Luka Donic is gone. Maybe there's something behind the scenes. But no, the Dallas Mavericks just wanted extra defense. They wanted a more focus out there on the defensive end of the court. And frankly, that trading away Luka Donic for that type of package, that is very, very crazy. Now, again, there's 1,000 reactions to this. I've been on a bunch of videos, talking about Luka Donic and all these things across the Digest Media Network. But we have some madness, and this has serious implications to the Kings, because now we know this is going to be the biggest trade deadline in NBA history. It's already started. Star players are getting tossed around like, trading cards out there on the playground, and now the Sacramento Kings have the most valuable trading card out there at this point, but Luka Donic for Anthony Davis starting it, and then Evan Siri reveals that the Heat, Kings, and Bulls are all in active negotiations revolving Jimmy Butler, De'Aaron Fox, and Zach LaVine. So that's the first thing. Just because this big blockbuster trade went down, just because this big blockbuster move happened, does not mean that De'Aaron Fox is now staying with the team or this deal is off the table or anything along those lines. De'Aaron Fox is still, the prime candidate to be the next star that's getting dealt based on the Kings front office coming out and publicly expressing interest in moving him. So don't get it twisted. We watched the game last night. That was an ugly, ugly disaster for Sacramento. The team looked demoralized, and we got some reactions to this whole trade scenario. That took over, right? De'Aaron Fox with the mind-blown tweet going out there. He was mind-blown. Malik Monk, he was in shock. The boys were not very happy with the move. Not very happy. Just, it was complete awe. It was complete craziness what just happened. And the landscape of the NBA has changed. And now people are talking about, hey, Stephen Castle's untouchable, and then Luka Donic gets dealt. I mean, if Monte McNair could play this right, if he can come out and get the right negotiations, because I've heard a few people say, hey, now that this deal is out there on the table, now that this deal, you saw Luka Donic just get an absolutely abysmal return, right? Like, Anthony Davis is a phenomenal basketball player, but he's 31. He's dealt with some injuries. Great defender, all that type of stuff. But to get no extra picks, to get Max Christie, who's been solid, like, if that's the return, some people have been like, oh, Monte McNair, he's going to get finessed, going to get fleeced. And as we saw with this Luka Donic trade, as with any trade where you are trading the star player, you are trading the superstar, you are actively going to the market being like, hey, this is where we are sending out people. Of course, you are not going to get the same value in return for De'Aaron Fox. That's the reality. That's understandable. We know this. So, but like, Stephen Castle being untouchable, you can negotiate your way around that. If you can say, hey, like Anthony Davis fetches us Luka Donic, I mean, De'Aaron Fox, a playmaker that can come out, drop 25, 6, and 5 on any given night. Of course, De'Aaron Fox is not Luka Donic, but he is very, very valuable. you got to come out with the finesse, Monte. You got to come out with that interpersonal skills, read some negotiation books, and just come out and make sure the Kings get the right haul for De'Aaron Fox. It's crucial. It's essential. It's the biggest thing that's going to impact the future of the Sacramento Kings organization. So that's the first thing. This doesn't mean, hey, all bets are off, the Kings are about to get finessed, or a deal is kind of happening out there on that front. No, Monte McNair still has this opportunity to make something happen. But the entire Western Conference landscape has now changed with this trade, because we can take a look at it here right now. Right, the Kings are right around, that San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors, Phoenix Suns, Dallas Mavericks. There's a glut, all separated by like 3.5 games out there in the Western Conference of teams that are in this position. And heck, even the LA Lakers, who are higher up in the standings, higher up in the record, they just picked up Luka Donic. And given their roster construction, of course, more moves are projected to be incoming. You can check out Lakers Digest for all the latest kind of updates and insights out there on that front. But basically, the Lakers got better. I mean, in long term, Luka Doncic is better than Anthony Davis. That's the reality. That's what's going on. If they just make a couple moves to reconstruct their roster, they're a better team. I think in the short term, the Dallas Mavericks also could benefit, especially where Luka Doncic has been injured. I mean, people are kind of roasting this deal. I am, because Luka Doncic is 25 and he's already as good as he is. But the Dallas Mavericks defense just got way, way better. And they already had some offensive firepower with Clay, with Kyrie Irving, with all these types of guys that they have out there on that team. So again, they got worse, but they're going to be competitive still out there in the Western Conference. And given Luka's being injured for a chunk of this season, I mean, they got better in the, than they've been playing over the past month, so to speak. So that's crazy. But look at the Spurs, and they might look at this and say, hey, we want to win now. We want to increase our firepower in order to compete with these different teams. That could be the approach. Or you could see the Spurs come out and be like, hey, De'Aaron Fox is going to help us win right now. Of course, he's very young as well. All of that type of stuff. But maybe the Spurs look at the landscape of the Western Conference and be like, yeah, let's bottom out. Let's see if we can snag a Cooper Flag in this NBA draft. Maybe that's a stretch. They have Victor Wembanyama, so it's going to be tough to bottom out or go anywhere in that direction. But the Western Conference just got tougher here now at this point. It got tougher there for the future. So you don't really know how the San Antonio Spurs are going to react to one of these moves actually going down, one of these moves actually happening. Are they going to be more motivated to be buyers? Are they going to be less motivated to be buyers? That's a question. And then you look at a team like the Houston Rockets, who's also been linked to De'Aaron Fox, the Sacramento Kings. I mean, they have the Dallas Mavericks like 2028 first. They also have a Suns like 29 first. They have a couple of picks that would be very valuable in a trade for the Sacramento Kings to get in return. I mean, the Spurs also have one of these picks from Dallas, I believe, or that could be the Thunder. I might be mistaken there, but basically, there's a lot of picks that are thrown out there that can be much more valuable out there floating around the trade market for the Kings to try to go in and insert themselves in and try to get a deal done. So absolute insanity, absolute madness going on with this Kings team. What are your predictions? Well, how do you think this is going to affect the De'Aaron Fox sweepstakes? Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys, best thing is far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.